Penguins win. Scared me towards the end there, but Penguins win this one 6-4 over the New Jersey Devils, a team that they will be seeing a lot of in this upcoming schedule because they have only played them 2 times before now, so they still got 6 meetings, now 5 meetings left with the Devils. They're obviously a struggling team. The Penguins were able to beat them and get the points. And a quick standing update, the Penguins are only 2 points out of first place in the East, Mass Mutual East Division. Washington won tonight. They beat Buffalo. The Islanders lost tonight to the Rangers. Boston is currently at 48 points. They didn't play tonight, so there's a little bit of separation between third and fourth there. The Rangers won tonight. They're up at 43, and Philly, who is currently out of the playoffs, along with the Rangers, is at 42. They didn't play tonight as well. There was only one very small lineup change, and we all know what it was because, it was a back-to-back, so DeSmith started in this one. The lineups and lines are right up there if you want to look at them. I'm not even going to go over them in this one. But yeah, the Penguins won this one 6-4. I thought the Penguins played great offensively and terrible defensively. And Casey DeSmith, despite giving in, 4 goals, looked incredible today. And I feel really bad for him because, he almost broke his stick on that one play. 3, maybe even 4, you could argue, of the goals that went in tonight on DeSmith were fluke goals. Brian Dumoulin literally scored on his own net. I don't even know who scored that goal, so I just left it open. It's Brian Dumoulin scored that. So, as you guys know, Travis Zajac was traded from the Devils along with Kyle Palmieri to the New York Islanders. That's good news for the Penguins, given the fact that Zajac was a Penguin killer in his time in New Jersey. He played there for a pretty damn long time. He played there since 06, 07 onwards, and in those time against the Penguins, he was the #1 points producer for the Devils against the Penguins. He had 49 points, 19 goals, 30 assists. Just a little tidbit of information there. Right off the face-off in this one, Miles Wood scores, and in 9 out of the last 10 Penguins games against the Devils entering this one, and now 10 out of the last 11, the Devils have scored first, and I don't know what it is, but the Penguins can't seem to get their footing underneath them against the Devils, and Miles Wood scores right off the bat in this one. Very crafty player. Very underrated in my opinion. Kris Letang and Mike Matheson were the 2 defensemen that did not look good tonight in my opinion. And again, I thought the Penguins played well offensively, and this sounds stupid, but you guys know my analogy where I say the Penguins literally outscored the team. I know that's how hockey works, but the Penguins had to outscore the Devils in this one because their defense was so bad. They had to win this game 6-4 with an empty netter because if they weren't, going to provide offensively, they would have lost this game because the defense was not there tonight. And that is some areas of concern that I had. Dumoulin, Letang, that pairing left a lot of guys open. Matheson and Ceci as well, and then Marino and Pettersson. Continues to struggle defensively, but did look good offensively. Marino had an assist in this one. Jared McCann scored on the power play, and he has to stay there. It was incredible. The fact that he's, half of his goals, more than half of his goals now have been on the power play. That's his 6th. And, another power play goal for him is 11th of the year. And then right after that, Brian Dumoulin scores. It was not deflected off of Frederick Gaudreau. And Brian Dumoulin has 2 goals in 3 games, as we all expected. And then, despite the Penguins being up 2-1 heading into the second period, they play sloppy defense. They left Jack Hughes wide open on a rebound. He ties the game up. But thankfully, Colton Sceviour in the bottom 6 of the Penguins was able to chip in a goal before the end of the second period. And really the main storyline of this game, in my opinion, was the Penguins' bottom 6 contributing, and, players that you wouldn't expect to get goals from, like Brian Dumoulin and Colton Sceviour. And then in the second half, the Crosby line took over, and they did what exactly what they, are paid to do. Brian Rust scored on the power play. Crosby scored also as well, and then Rust got another goal as well. He also passed 300 points in this when he had 3 points. Crosby had 3 points. I don't know how many points Guentzel had. And they took over the second half of this. However, it wasn't without, some hardships, as Adam Boqvist finally scores. That clip that we saw at the beginning of this PFR was Adam Boqvist getting robbed by Casey DeSmith, and he finally got some puck luck in this one, and it went off of Letang, and it went in. And I feel really bad for DeSmith. And then after that, to make matters worse, Dumoulin scores on his own net. I don't know what he was trying to do, but he passed it through the middle of the ice, and it went off of DeSmith skating in, so I don't know what he was trying to do there. It worried me. But thankfully, the Penguins were able to hold on to this one, get an empty net goal from Bryan Rust. They win this one 6-4. My 3 stars of the night. Bryan Rust had a good game. Casey DeSmith, despite the goal total on him, he had a good game as well. And I thought Jared McCann, of course, deserved another star because he had a goal and an assist, both on the power play. I'm going to do something if he doesn't stay on the power play when Malkin comes back. I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't boycott games because I do this, but whatever. I'm going to be mad. So that is pretty much the summary of the PFR. And again, we're going to switch over to the trade deadline and the juicy, talks and things like that. Now, these past 2 PFRs, I went over the top 30 names on the TSN trade bait board. Tonight, I'm going to go over 5 mock trades that I just randomly put together watching the game that I think the Penguins could go for. Now, keep in mind, I'm an idiot. I'm not Jim Rutherford or Ron Hextall or Brian Burke, and I have 0 experience working in hockey operations. And my only hockey trade knowledge comes from Cap Friendly and Twitter. So take this with the biggest grain of salt ever. And, this is just hypothetical fun. Don't go down in the comments and be like, this trade would never happen because Sergachev is not, he plays for this team, and they would never trade. They have a history of keeping defensemen that are over 6 foot. So I have 4.5 trades here that I want to go over, and these are ranked, and I'll go over them from 5 to 1. So starting off, in 5th, I have a trade with the Winnipeg Jets. My first trade is a 1-for-1. Matthew Perreault for Marcus Pettersson. Marcus Pettersson is on the exiling chopping block right now for Penguins fans. I don't know why. I mean, he's struggled. I even wrote an article about, how I think he could potentially get traded for Pittsburgh Sportscaster. Go check that out as always. Matthew Perreault is a player that the Jets have wanted to move on from. I believe they waived him a couple years back. Nobody would take him just because of his cap. But if it would be a trade like this, the cap would work out, especially because they're both making a little over $4 million. Pettersson has the term. Perreault has only 2 years left. And I like it because the Penguins need center depth. But I'm not sold on it because I don't think you win this trade. I think it's just kind of a meh hockey trade. And I'm not sure if the Jets will do it. The Jets do need defensive depth, though. That's why this one ranks last for me. Now, in 4th, we have a trade with the Anaheim Ducks. And this is pretty much just very hypothetical in the fact that I'll have Rickard Rakell, which every Penguin fan wants right now, and I'm just going to put for futures. I don't know who that would necessarily be. It wouldn't be Samuel Poulin or Nathan Legare. The Penguins do have a 2022 first-round pick. They have a 2021 second, and then they have all their picks in the 2022 draft. The reason why I put this so low is because I don't think it should happen. Rakell, as I mentioned in last video, is older than people expect. He's not as good as people expect, and he's going to be a little too pricey for my book. I would love him on the Penguins, but where would you put him? Because Guentzel, Crosby, Rust is locked in, and then Malkin and Kapanen have to play together. Rakell is a right winger, so he would be playing on the 3rd line at best. I don't see this one happening, despite a lot of Penguins fans wanting it to. My 3rd pick is a trade with the Nashville Predators, and this is one that I am literally just begging for myself. I have seen no links between Eric Haula, and the Penguins in the past, but I still am kind of going to shoot for it. I'm going to put it for a mid-round pick. I don't know what year that would be, or what pick it would be, a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th. I think Eric Haula would look great in a Penguins uniform, and I think he would slot in nicely because he can play the wing as well. He's a middle 6 forward, and that's exactly what the Penguins need right now. He has Stanley Cup playoff experience with the Vegas Golden Knights, and I think he'd be cheap. I think he'd be good to get. The only problem I have with him is that Nashville might not want to trade him because they're doing a lot better right now. In 2nd, I have the player that I am starting to grow on, and that is Kris Tierney from the Ottawa Senators, in exchange for a couple early picks. I'm not necessarily saying a 1st, maybe a 2nd or a 3rd, and a couple maybe a 2nd and a 3rd, a 2nd and a 4th. I don't necessarily know the price tag on this guy. He has a higher cap hit than I expected. He's making 3.5 for 2 more years, but that could be a bargain, especially if he turns into be a reliable 3rd line center and you can move McCann up on the wing in the top 6. I think Tierney's super underrated, but I also think a lot of people think that. So does that make him overrated? So it's kind of the Alexander Barkov treatment. I still think it'd be a great fit for the Penguins. He's not a big name in terms of, he's not Taylor Hall or Mike Hoffman. He could be good in a Penguins uniform and could be exactly what the Penguins need. He's only 25 years old, and, he has that term. If the Penguins want to go out and get a guy like him, I would not be opposed to it. And in first, I have what I think the Penguins should do the most at the trade deadline this year, and that is trading with nobody and adding a lot of people. And by adding a lot of people, I mean Evgeny Malkin, Brandon Tanev, Teddy Bluger, Mark Friedman, Anthony Angelo, and Kasperi Kapanen. They're all hurt. We don't know the exact timetable on all of them, but the Penguins are playing pretty good right now, especially at forward, and that's where literally all of those injuries that I just mentioned are, except for Mark Friedman. Do the Penguins need to add forward depth when arguably the best thing on this team right now is the bottom 6 forwards? Do you really want to kick Frederick Gaudreau out of the lineup? No. I would rather him be kicked out of the lineup in terms of he has to fight for a roster spot from a guy like Brandon Tanev or Teddy Bluger coming back. We know Malkin, Kapanen are going to get roster spots, and even Tanev and Bluger for that matter. But that's going to motivate these players like Gaudreau, like Jankowski, like even Jared McCann to stay in the lineup or stay on the top power play unit. And I'm really excited for them to get healthy because it'll create, a healthy rivalry. And I think that could be the Penguins' best trade deadline acquisition. I do think the Penguins will add some minor forward, and I think it could be like a guy like Haula. Maybe it's someone we don't even know yet. But those are my top 5 mock trade picks for the Penguins right now, even though number 1 doesn't really even involve a trade at all. Thank you all for watching. I sound a little bit sickish here. I'm going to get COVID tested tomorrow, actually, so wish me luck. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys the day before the trade deadline for a game against the Devils as well, and I will also be live streaming the trade deadline as well after some of my classes. So be sure to tune in for all that. Also, 200 subscribers. If I hit that, I'll be doing my Penguins all-time roster. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.